Time for Hope has had the privilege of having many gifted and insightful authors appear as our guests through the years. We have decided to rerun from time to time some of our past shows related to subjects that did and will again give our viewers the opportunity to be informed and inspired to accept the challenges they are currently experiencing in their lives. With this in mind, we have chosen to rerun the following edition of Time for Hope.
I count it a tremendous privilege to welcome you to another edition of Time for Hope, a faith-based mental health program. I'm Dr. Freda Cruz, your host, and I want to express my appreciation for all the encouraging notes and personal contact I receive from many of you, letting us know how much this ministry means to you. Today, I am joined by Deborah Dunn, a marriage and family therapist, and we're going to be discussing her newest book titled Stupid About Men, 10 Rules for Getting Romance Right. In this book, Deborah offers a step-by-step plan on how to stop acting stupid about men and become smart about life. Stay with us. And Deborah, it's great having you again on Time for Hope.
It's wonderful to be here, Freda.
And what a subject. You really get into these fairy tales, don't you?
I love them. Well, we're fed them from the time we're born, and they're a natural part of our life. I was just watching television this morning, and Disney on Ice is all about Tinkerbell, and so the stories surround us. Why not use them?
Most of the time having to do with a woman finding her prince along romance lines, right?
Of course. Well, the 10 rules are illustrated by 10 fairy tale characters that I think were stupid about men. We're given these stories as children, and you know, the Princess Diaries, all the movies we see growing up and as young women about the ideal fairy tale life, but we really don't stop to think about what those stories are telling us. Cinderella, my gosh, she went off with a man just because he owned a castle. What was life really like in that castle after she got married? And Wendy, who just loved a mother, lost boys. And Rapunzel, who ran off with the first stranger who rescued her from her tower, never asking any questions about who his family was. And then there was Little Red Riding Hood, and we know what in the world was she doing in the forest with a wolf anyway, much less talking to him.
And I thought you brought out in your book so well, what in the world was her mother thinking, letting her go off into that forest?
With a basket of goodies to boot.
Yes, into that forest. So you bring out so much and make these stories come alive. Now, am I to assume that the authors of these fairy tales literally had in mind what you get out of them? Did we miss something back there as when we were going? See, I don't know that they read them in school anymore.
Well,
like
they're
we
popularized
did.
now in movies. We certainly read the stories to our children as little children, and they're popularized in movies. I mean, there's Tinkerbell movie out now, there's Peter Pan, and of course umpteen versions of Cinderella. But really, this book is not about the fairy tales. This is about women's addiction to the romanticized, idyllic view of marriage, and they're not thinking and making smart decisions about men because they're so entranced with the romantic process.
So much of it has to do, too, with the dependence on men, and you really come at that very, very good. I think that you're not looking. You're looking for a good man, not a financial plan. You say that you're supposed to get that out of Cinderella,
that's right.
And then you're with Snow White. You're to be happy now. Don't wait for someone to make you happy.
No, I mean, we sit around and we deaden ourselves with food and drugs and shopping and waiting for the man who's going to kiss us, wake us up, and give us a life.
And literally, we're going to put all of we have this idea that they will just take care of us, period, everything we need, everything we want, that they're the answer.
Well, exactly. I was out in the hall talking to your assistants with my little group going there, and I was saying too many women now are given the message in the church particularly that if they're not married, that something's wrong with them. And they sort of look at it askance at having your own career. But I believe God has a plan for every person's life. And we need to find out what that plan is before we marry. We don't wait for the man to give us that plan. Even if our plan is, to be a wife and mother, and there's nothing, I think that's beautiful. I think that is women's divine purpose, primary divine purpose. But the world has a lot of children. And you absolutely have to wait for the man God sends. And you might have to wait until your 30s to do that, because oftentimes we need to be educated, we need to have some life experience, we need to understand our plan before we look for the man.
It's best to wait than to jump too soon.
Exactly.
And that happens too often, doesn't it? And I think your book will help many, many women see and understand that.
Oh, I hope so.
That waiting can pay off, and sometimes, though, there's the tendency to wait too long and let a good man go. So you could talk about that side also. It is time for a break, and we'll be right back.
Well, the magic mirror is a metaphor that I use, of course, from the Disney movies, or the fairy tale Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And the queen, asks the mirror constantly, am I beautiful, am I beautiful? And I tell young people when I talk to them, youth groups and that sort of thing, is first of all, the first mistake was you was talking to the wrong thing. Should have been talking to God, not a magic mirror. And we hear the story actually says, and the mirror never lies. Well, the mirror constantly lied. If the mirror had told the truth, the mirror would have told the queen, you're not beautiful on the inside. You need to work on that. So this book and the metaphor that I use is about talking to the wrong thing, the world, and looking for constant affirmation and approval, and being addicted in a narcissistic way to the need for that affirmation and approval, and ultimately transferring that need over to a husband or a mate to make you feel good about yourself. Underneath this as well, because the world promotes rampant sexuality and the lie that somehow the more sexually attractive you are, the more worthwhile you are as a person. Underneath all that is the wounds that occur because of that lifestyle. So when a person marries, they cover all that up. They look for the man that's going to make them feel wonderful about themselves, and then ultimately that all collapses into the marriage when that process comes to a halt. What I describe in the book is what I see as a very toxic cycle happening in many, many, many marriages, Christian marriages particularly, where the wife, when romance wears off, she's not getting the constant affirmation and attention from her husband, begins to nag, begins to preach, begins to try to teach, change, improve him, change him, but and starts comparing him to other men in her church, in her Bible study group, and thinking if he could just be like that, and then so her way of going about that is to moralize, to try to be the Holy Spirit in his life, so to speak, and to change him. Well, what that does to a man drives them away, essentially. It causes emotional distance. He does not want to hear from a wife what he needs to do to be better to meet her expectations.
I probably don't have any doubt that you've stayed with us as we're talking about Stupid About Men with our guest, Deborah Dunn. But before I turn back to Deborah, even to make comments about this that I'm going to share with you, I want to remind you that we're always very happy to receive your prayer requests. We're always very happy to pray with you on the phone when you call in to Time for Hope. And certainly, I don't want to forget to point you to the Time for Hope website, where there are great resources there. We'll be adding Deborah's book to that resource list. And we also would remind you each time that we appreciate the contributions that come into Time for Hope. And if you haven't contributed to this ministry, we would greatly appreciate that. Then I do have something from a viewer that I'm going to share, and then we'll turn to Deborah to see if she has some comments about what this viewer shares. Dear Dr. Freda, I am in my late 20s and desire to be married in the near future. Please pray I will meet a gentleman that has character, integrity, is abstinent, and will be faithful. Also handsome, tall, nice smile, sense of humor, educated, and that I am compatible with. I believe God wants us Christians to have the desires of our hearts. Now, I have no doubt she believes that from what she has written and what she's looking for in a man. I can't guarantee that this kind of man, this total package, is going to come along. But I will say that her desires are right on target. And that Deborah, I'm sure, is going to advise that since she has this all laid out, that she not settle for anything less than what she wants in a man. So I'm going to turn to Deborah, and we're going to talk about this. What do you say?
Well, I think all of those things that she's listed are very important. I would advise her to be careful not to pay too much attention to the physical appearance to the point where she lets that overwhelm her. Women are very vulnerable to good-looking men. And I'm certain men are too. That's an age-old problem. But, you know, sometimes we can miss that sterling character because we look into those gorgeous blue eyes or that tall, dark, handsome smile, and we don't see the real man underneath. And there's a lot of really wonderful men who would make great husbands, fathers, and companions who are, you know, wouldn't be a model, who are just ordinary guys. We need to take second looks at life companions like that, because, you know, we also, on the other hand, tend to believe that we aren't going to get the man God desires for us if we aren't perfect, if we don't look great, if we aren't thin, if we aren't well-dressed at all times, if we aren't, you know, beautiful. And that causes a lot of self-esteem issues with women, and that drives them to make some bad romantic mistakes.
It sure gives the men that are not tall, dark, and handsome, you know, they're going to run into problems if all women are looking for tall, dark, and handsome men. And that was the saying in my, you know, when I was of dating age and thinking about getting married, tall, dark, and handsome. And you're exactly right. The outside, just like with women, it doesn't. It's a package.
What you look for is the largeness of the heart, and the maturity, and the godliness, and the man who is a man of God's own heart and knows God and walks the walk and doesn't just talk the talk.
I think that's said so well. Looking back at her letter, I thought the things that she first said, please pray I will meet a gentleman
Exactly.
that has character, integrity, is abstinent, and will be faithful. I would say every one of those things she should stick to without any doubt. That those are the things that she should look for. Whether he's tall, short, middle height, and whether he has all of the other. So,
and I would say too, look at the way he interacts with children. Is he kind to your grandfather and listens to his old stories? Does he tip the waitress well? Is he polite, or does he engage in road rage? They're signs.
Those are signs that really need to be on the lookout for, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back, and we will be right back. Too often, women don't understand the men they are in relationship with, especially those who use, abuse, or in some other way take advantage of them. The kind of man that comes to my mind when I think of using and abusing is the angry man. In their book, Avoiding Mr. Wrong, Steve Arterburn and Dr. Meg J. Rink list the characteristics of an angry man, and allow me to cite some of them. They tend to be jealous and insecure, although they can easily wear a face of great self-confidence. Angry men blame others for their problems, especially their wives. Vulnerable wives make easy targets for angry men to project all their anger on. Angry men love to be in control, and women who wish to please can be easy prey for such men. Angry men refuse to admit weaknesses of any kind, pretend to have all the answers, and cannot take criticism at all. Needy women can easily fall prey to the angry man's belief that the answer to any domestic problem is sex, that all women need is a good man in bed, and that will make everything okay. And last but not least, angry men often threaten to hurt the women they are partnering with, and too often the threats become reality, and many women suffer physical abuse at the hands of angry men. So, the author's advice to you, if you are not already married to such a man, but recognize the danger signs, is to get out of the relationship as fast as you safely can, because you're not going to be able to change the angry man. Instead, accept the truth that you did not cause his behavior and you cannot fix it. If your angry spouse or partner threatens to hit you, ask him to leave. If he refuses, then you find a way to leave yourself and stay away until there is real, proven change in his behavior. This will probably require professional help for you both. And women, begging for forgiveness is not change. You must stop listening to what he says and only look at what he does. His words are lies and his actions destructive. And if your angry husband, fiance, or boyfriend has hurt you or your children physically, leave immediately and get the help you need. The scriptures relate, do not make friends with a hot-tempered man. Do not associate with one easily angered. We appreciate your staying with us on Time for Hope. Our guest is Deborah Dunn, and we're talking about her book, Stupid About Men. And have we given the subtitle? I don't think we have, Deborah. Your book, 10 Rules for Getting Romance Right. Man, that is a lot to deliver.
That is.
But I believe you do.
Thank you.
With the book. You talk about that women should be, they should see that it's more important to be smart than to be sexy. There was a time men didn't want women to be smart.
That's right.
But that's not true anymore. They like smart women now.
They do. And we live in a culture now where there's a good chance that most women will outlive their husbands, and possibly even before they reach retirement. So it is very crucial for women to be able to take care of themselves and not be able, not expect a man to take care of them the rest of their lives.
But you really, I gather from men that they like women. They like them to be smart, and they like them to be sexy. So it's a combination that they're looking for in a woman.
We put too much emphasis on the sexiness thing, because actually once you get married, that changes. And that's another whole book.
Especially after children come into the picture.
That's another whole book. I've been married almost 40 years, and I'm proud to say that. But I counsel a lot of women who are trying to hang on to the youthful persona, and they have teenagers of their own, and they're still out there trying to be sexy. And the first thing I tell them, switch your focus, because now it's time for you to get smart.
Daughters don't like that. They don't like their moms to do that.
To compete with them, exactly.
Compete with them, and I don't think moms should compete.
No, but we see a lot of it these days.
We see a lot of it these days. Then we move on, and I see a lot of this. I've seen a lot of this in my counseling. And you say that we're to care for ourselves as much as we care for our man. Too many women think it's their total responsibility to make sure their man is happy, and that's what they're put on this earth for.
To this day, my mother still, whenever I travel or I'm out of town at a book signing or a taping like this or whatever, the first thing she'll ask me is, did I cook and leave meals for my husband, and how is he going to fend for himself if I'm gone? And there's a certain generation of women who just believe their job is to take care of their man. And in family counseling, I see a lot of angry women who are working full-time, they're taking care of their husbands, and they're not letting him do things that I believe he would be willing to do. But they're so perfectionist. If he doesn't do it the way they want, she wants him to do it, then it's not done right. He gets discouraged, he quits, and then she's critical and angry at him because he's not helping her enough. But the truth of it is, she's just not encouraging him enough.
And also the truth is that they're trying to earn their man's love.
Exactly.
And the day a woman wakes up to that, her life will change.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that.
Cannot earn a man's love. You can't make a man love you, no matter what you do for him, how much you do for him. So I think you're right on target that we need to take care of ourselves and give as much attention to taking care of us as we do to taking care of him. And it's okay to go out of town if you're a professional woman and let him fend for himself.
Of course.
Now, I don't say that about young children.
No.
We, as mothers, that's totally different. But,
women confuse being a wife with being a mother. And they mother men, and then they wonder why they're so angry and why he acts like a child, because that's the relationship she's established with him. Men don't like that. That's just something they find themselves caught up in. And unfortunately, women confuse being needed with being loved. They're two separate issues, and that is codependency, as you well know. And I would say here in the South, it's worse than any place in the world where we confuse being needed with being loved, whether it's by our children, bailing our children out of their scrapes, taking care of our grandchildren, cooking and cleaning for everybody, parenting everybody, even in the church. Letting the church take advantage of you because you're so needed. And for women who have low self-esteem, who don't understand that love and need are two different issues, they can feel very taken advantage of, and they can feel very not loved.
And worn out. And angry.
And angry.
And angry at everybody that's pulling at them, but yet they're the ones that are
encouraged.
That are encouraging
exactly.
it. And then you say, don't waste your time trying to be perfect. Again, deliverance from perfectionism is one of the best things that can happen to a woman.
Freedom, total freedom, total freedom. Because perfectionism is a form of bondage, and it's usually goal-oriented toward being perfect at the wrong things by worldly standards. And oddly enough, once you're free from perfectionism by worldly standards, you find almost magically, if I could use that word, that spiritually you grow so much, and you're so much freer to be yourself, that you become more Christ-like, you become more loving, you're happier, you're more at peace, and you're far from perfect.
You know, I really do believe that's the foundation for freedom from perfection, is a relationship with Jesus Christ, allowing His perfection to stand for us. He was perfect. We don't, thankfully, by His grace, we don't have to be. And that can free us up even from the perfectionism that we're talking about. There's so many other things that we could have brought out, and I think you've put so much into the book, like changing yourself and not your man. I think that is really a great point. And choosing the right man, not just the first one that comes along. And so all I can do is say thank you for coming. You've done a great job. A much needed book. It's going to fill a real niche.
Thank you.
And I certainly encourage our viewers to make sure, I encourage you to make sure you get a copy of Deborah's book. And I also encourage you to make sure that you join us again next week on Time for Hope.
A free fact sheet that contains additional information about today's topic is available upon request from our ministry. You can also receive a copy of today's resource for $13 plus $3 shipping and handling. To receive the free fact sheet or our guest's book or both, you may call us at 1-800-669-9133. Write us at Post Office Box 2169, Spartanburg, South Carolina 29304. Or visit our website at timeforhope.org. When you call or write, please prayerfully consider a donation to our ministry. Our ministry's mission is to offer hope to discouraged and hurting people. As we continue to give out messages of hope, you can become a member of our team by sending us a financial gift of any amount. When you send your gift to support Time for Hope, you are joining us in offering hope to many viewers who might believe there is no hope for their situation. And you're also enabling us to inform and inspire some viewers to expand our mission as they learn and in turn can minister more effectively to hurting people around them. To see this program again online, go to our website or find us on YouTube. Until next time, have a great week. And remember, it is time for hope.